5 things I desperately want you to know as a couples therapist. Number 1, your brain is wired for negativity. This is based in evolution because our brain's job is to keep us safe. So it's much better to remember the thing that almost hurt us rather than the pleasant evening around the fire. So this is going to show up in your relationship. It's going to be easier to remember all the bad things, the times your partner didn't follow through, all the hurtful things rather than the positive things. And this is why gratitude, practicing it daily, keeping a journal can be really helpful because it keeps those positive things at the top of your mind. Number 2, bad sex doesn't necessarily mean you're with the wrong partner. Sex is really layered. We get a lot of implicit and explicit messages from our families, culture, society, and media about sex, about our bodies. There's a lot of shame and stigma and judgment that can come into it. So we need to think critically about what's getting in the way of our sex before we just write off the relationship. Number 3, great relationships don't just happen. They take consistent work over time. So if you're having to work at your relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not a good relationship. It can actually mean that this is important and you're putting in the time and energy. Similar to our work, we don't just assume that we're going to keep making progress in our work, that's going to fall into our lap. So why would we assume that in our relationship? Number 4, curiosity is one of the most important elements of a satisfying relationship and one of the first things to go, because as we get to know somebody, we start to assume we know their answer and we stop asking questions. But we're growing, changing, and evolving. And even if you've asked a question before, we may see things from different perspectives. We may hear things in different ways. So it's important to revisit conversations, not make assumptions, so you don't end up waking up next to your partner and going, I feel like you're a stranger. Number 5, every argument or disagreement is an opportunity for connection and deepening of intimacy. I know it may not always feel that way, but arguments and conflict should feel like you guys are together fighting the issue rather than fighting each other. This builds trust and intimacy. Now, when you guys do miss and it does feel like you guys are fighting each other, that's okay. You're not going to get it perfect, but you really focus on repair. Again, that can breed connection and intimacy.